I'm Lita. Sitting here in my rooftop garden, sipping chamomile tea as the first breeze of dusk plays with the lavender and rosemary I planted last spring, I can't help but reflect on how far I've come. The newspaper Ava brought out earlier lies on the table, its headlines screaming about the multi-million-dollar fraud I exposed within my own family. It's a victory, but one that came at a high cost. A few days ago, I was sitting across a long mahogany table from the very people who tried to erase me. The conference room was stark, with white walls and humming overhead lights. Sarita, my so-called sister, was late as usual, trying to seem important. Carter trailed behind her, his tie askew and his palm rubbing nervously. Their lawyer, with a condescending voice, thought the whole thing was excessive, calling it a family matter. I slid a USB drive across the table, stating it was documentation, not emotion. The arbitrator, Whitmore, loaded the files on the screen, the same ones Sarita and Carter had claimed didn't exist. Audits, email trails, video footage, it was all there. Logan, looking older and guilt-ridden, came in and explained how he'd been told to rebrand documents by Sarita. He'd assumed I'd signed off, but he was wrong. Then, Whitmore presented another exhibit. 5 separate zoning committee proposals signed under my name, projects I'd executed in person without compensation while Sarita was abroad. It was clear I'd carried the weight of our family name, not just inherited it. Ava pulled out a small framed quote, "Truth needs no volume, just timing." It was a quote Sarita had once mocked me with in college. Now, she looked like a defeated painting left out in the rain. Whitmore asked if I wanted the decision sealed or made public. I looked at the hallway full of journalists on the other side of the frosted glass and decided to let the silence speak for itself. But how did I get here? It all started in San Diego. I was part owner of a downtown company, Crest and Lane Capital, with my fiancé, Ryan. 2 weeks before our engagement party, Ryan had said he wanted something simple yet elegant, but his idea of simplicity was far from it. One Monday morning, as I pulled into the parking garage, there was an unfamiliar chill in the air. Something felt off. I took the elevator to the 12th floor, and while checking my phone, I got a text from my niece, Lily. She said she was in my office and not to tell her mom. When I opened the office door, Lily was sitting on the leather couch, looking pale and like she hadn't slept. She told me there was a hidden camera in the room. She'd seen Ryan and my sister, Sarita, checking it the night before while I was upstairs. They didn't know she was there. She'd heard Sarita say I was getting too curious and they'd handle it soon. After sending Lily home in a ride share, I found the camera behind a black bird sculpture on the top shelf. Just then, Sarita and Ryan walked in. Ryan offered me my usual Monday morning espresso, acting oblivious. I shut the door, locked it, and decided to record everything. Later, Lily sent me a photo of a USB drive she'd found in Sarita's drawer with my name on it. It was one I thought I'd lost years ago. When I got it, I found 3 folders on it. One was a phase-out plan for me, filled with fake performance reviews, edited screenshots of emails, and doctored images. It was clear they were trying to erase me from the company and my family. I called my uncle Leo, an expert in digital forensics. He told me if I acted fast, I could prove the digital case was fake. I knew I had to be strategic. I packed a one-way ticket to Chicago, not running, but repositioning. When I arrived in Chicago, I went to my family home. My mother was surprised to see me without Ryan. In my father's study, I found a red folder labeled Trust Addendum, Lita only. It was an amendment naming me the sole inheritor of a property and a cash disbursement, dated a month before my father's heart attack. Sarita had handled all the paperwork after his death, and it was clear she'd obstructed this document from being filed. At dinner, my mother praised Sarita and Ryan for building what my father wanted. I calmly mentioned that Dad had left something that said otherwise, and Sarita's smile faltered. That night, Lily told me Sarita knew about the file and was securing the will. I realized they were scared of me. I reached out to an old law school friend, Nora, who handled estate disputes. A few days later, I went to Ryan's office in Chicago to collect evidence. I heard Ryan say I wasn't even blood, just a financial convenience and my father's guilt project. Sarita talked about redirecting the account once the audit cleared. I recorded it all. Back at my apartment, Nora called to tell me they'd filed a petition to amend the trust, claiming I was adopted privately. I had a week, maybe less, to fight it. The next day, I walked into the Crest and Lane Foundation office. Sarita was sitting there, looking like she'd already won, offering me a generous severance. I laid my father's cufflinks on the table and slid an envelope with evidence of Sarita threatening a board member and forwarding manipulated audits. I also mentioned the sealed audit trail and pre-notified donors. Marcus, the board member, came in and said my father never wanted Sarita's name on the glass. A week later, at the Fairmont Hotel event, Carter was unveiling a new philanthropic initiative in partnership with the foundation. Sarita was there, looking perfect as always, with a media team live streaming. I walked onto the stage and placed a red leather folder on the podium. It contained certified financial records, copyright registration, an IRS complaint, and footage of Carter and Sarita copying my files and altering my signature. Sarita snapped at me, calling me a pathetic orphan. But I just walked away. The media storm began, and I knew I was finally making them pay for trying to erase me. Now, as I sit here in my garden, Ava asks if I feel better. I tell her no, but I feel finished. And sometimes, that's the closest thing to peace.